One of the reasons Los Angeles has always been a popular destination is that we've always been surrounded by resorts. And this used to be one of them. This is a beautiful green valley, appropriately called Verde. We're actually a few miles from Magic Mountain. But you would assume that anybody could go to any of those resorts as long as they could afford it. But that's not exactly the way it was. For instance, before World War II, there was a prosperous Japanese fishing village on Terminal Island. And just across the channel, there was an equally prosperous resort called White's Point. It was a Japanese resort for the fishermen, for nearby farmers, and for the businessmen of Little Tokyo.
White's Point Hot Springs bloomed out to be a beautiful resort, and it had a restaurant and hotel and a swimming pool and a rowboating, and the people that used to come all the way from Imperial Valley, way up north, or Fresno or whatever, and they felt right at home because it was a place called their own.
Of course, those bombs that fell on Pearl Harbor also demolished White's Point. In fact, most of the local residents were sent off to prison camps. But those same bombs gave us another wave of refugees, Jewish refugees. And they founded their own resorts, too.
Well, as a kid, I remember we went to a resort called the Paradise, which may have been an overstatement, but it was in Ontario. And on Euclid Street was this kind of old hotel with a pool and a dining room, and they played lawn, it was lawn bowling and whatever, and we went there every summer.
So if these resorts were exclusive, you see, it wasn't exactly by choice. But oddly, one of the largest resorts and one of the most successful and one of the least known was the one that was right here in Verde. They had a rural country club surrounded by country homes that offered fresh air, fresh food, and most important, a fresh sense of freedom. To the black community of Los Angeles, Verde was more than just a resort. It was an escape.
This represented a place where we felt free, a place where we felt relaxed, but most of all, where my father and his friends and his relatives could come. And I guess there was a sense of ownership, a sense of this is ours.
We had to drive miles and miles and miles to get there. But we were so happy to have a place to go where we could be outside.
When you came into the valley, it was sort of an exhilarating feeling. You felt for a while that you were on par with the rest of America. It was, without question, the Black Palm Springs.
It was a place of camaraderie and good fellowship and good food and good times.
When it was first developed in the 1920s, Verde was just a brown, barren hunk of land. But over the years, a nice green park was added, then a clubhouse, and finally a swimming pool.
There weren't many blacks in Los Angeles then, and everybody knew everybody almost, And the people would cook and bring their specialties, the good old picnic food like stuffed eggs and fried chicken and potato salad and greens. And I remember the peach cobblers especially. Oh, they were so good.
And for the beautiful people of Verde, a beauty contest.
It was one of my first beauty contests, and I won. I was so shocked because there were girls who were much more beautiful than I was. And Eartha Kitt was one of the judges. Years later, I ran into a gentleman who was a judge, and he told me that when she heard me singing April in Paris in French, she says, "There's our winner." So I have to thank her for that.
As times began to change, Val Verde went from resort to residential. Though nicely integrated now, it's certainly not as rustic or charming as it used to be. Oh, sure, the old hotel is still there, a victim of the Northridge earthquake. So is the country store on Main Street, but something is missing. As one resident told me, it's the only black community which has turned white. So, at least, it has made history.